on the rear side of Hanover Square. Peace and blessings to you wherever you are in the world. Hope you're having a wonderful, blessed day. Welcome to the channel. On today's video, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the history of Lum Lane, just tiny bits, and also tell you about how we started the Hanover Square project in 1994 to restore it. However, before I start to speak to you about that, I have a message from Abu Zar, Alkama, Ash'al, Azan, Jarir, Sulaim, Taha, and Yusha, as people be. So here is their message. Okay, guys, number 1,
share.
Number 2,
Like.
Number 3,
subscribe.
Number 4,
comment.
and number 5,
Assalamu alaikum.
Currently, I'm walking down Lum Lane, just past the Mohammadi Masjid, with the entry point to the old Bellevue First School and Manningham Middle School just down at the bottom. And as a young child, I remember playing in these grounds. And just outside the school is Green Lane Primary in the distance, and also on the right hand side where there's now houses. But prior to that, Lum Lane wasn't always Lum Lane, and there was masses of antisocial behaviour in the early 80s, mid 80s as well. It was, saying it, okay, it was the red light area, and it was known, reputation tarnished. It was known for quite a few naughty things as well. And if you were a bit naughty and you wanted a smoke, okay, as people be, if you wanted a smoke today, which is known as marijuana, etc., then you would probably come and find it up here somewhere. All right, I'm not sure who supplied it, but you would come and find it up here somewhere. And round about, I think it would be about 1990, the elders, particularly the elders of Masjid al-Quba, and the elders generally, they had a grip on us as youngsters. You know, as they say now, there's 3G, there's 4G, and there's 5G, and sometimes you can't get the network, and your behaviour is all over the place. Well, when a slap would come around your head, douche, okay, all the networks would suddenly be back in order, and everything would work properly. So the elders at Masjid al-Quba and others as well decided that what they would do at night time is, in order to get rid of the nuisance, so to speak, that they would dress in white, okay, wear their hamamas, their patkas, and a number of people would just come and stand on various corners of Lum Lane. And standing on these corners, they would not speak to anyone. All they would do is they would recite the Quran, they would do dhikr, do the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and not speak to anyone. What governments couldn't do in years and years and years, and the authorities couldn't do in years and years and years, they managed to do it in days with the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And over a period of time, okay, the nuisance just disappeared. And the local newspapers were saying vigilantes come from out of town. And who are all these people? Vigilantes come in order to sort the streets out of Bradford. And that was so untrue. It was just local people getting together and getting rid of all sorts of behaviours. Now, if you think about it now, when we have antisocial behaviours, the first thing we do is get the camera out, and we get and we start recording what's going on. We do not step in to make peace. We do not often, or many do not often, step in to make peace. The first thing is upload it to social media so the whole world can see what's going on. And it's almost as if to say, well, look, I'm so important, look at me, I uploaded this video first. And it's just not acceptable. And look, one of the businesses on Lum Lane that has survived all of these years is the Sweet Centre, which still stands strong. And there's another one, Mirza Travel, that still stands strong. And bear in mind, walking on Lum Lane, we would have to walk to school through all of this trouble, particularly in winter time, when it was notorious, where it wasn't always safe. But our elders went out of the way to make sure it's safe. And as youngsters going to school, we would hang around together. I mean, different story, different day. At certain times we couldn't even cross the road with safety because we would get jumped. So look, many people have gone through many sacrifices from then and now in order to make sure these streets are safe for us. And one of the pubs on Lum Lane is now the Shah Jalal Latifa Jamia Masjid and Madrasa. At one point this used to be the Polar Ford factory, and the Polar Ford showroom would be on Manningham Lane and at the side, and this is what it looks like now. So 1985 onwards, basically the whole of the square and the base of the square looked like this. The houses had been restored. I'm sorry to tell you, you failed your driving test, Masood. I'm sorry to tell you, you failed your driving test. So, as Mr. Masood Khan just walked up to me and said hello, one of the nice things about Hanover Square is people saying hello. So, where were we? So, it's back to 1986. The square was in this condition. The houses had been restored. However, governments had changed. Trucks, large vehicles, cranes had been in the middle of the square. The square was completely damaged, and basically no one was interested in restoring it. So in summary, the local authority wanted to wash their hands of it. The people didn't want to know because they'd been involved in court cases for years and years and years. And how do I say this? In terms of local people taking a pride in their area, they were just heartbroken, because imagine giving your house for £1 conveyance based upon trust years and years ago, and then authorities, from one point of view, authorities and building trusts and conservation companies, managers that were involved in money laundering that got sacked. There was a whole load of heartache. But in summary, there was definitely a group of people that wanted to see the square restored to its original beauty. And we bought a house here in 1992, and before I bought the house, I have witnesses as well. I said, whatever is in my power, I will do in order to create something that becomes a means of pride. Because imagine, it's raining, there's just mud everywhere. People are not able to have carpets in the front room. Okay, it's sunshine, there's just dust everywhere. It's snowy, there's mud everywhere, there's people falling, there's accidents taking place. People are dumping their cars here because it's private land. There's no MOTs on vehicles, and they're just dumping them here, there and everywhere. So there was all sorts of things that were going on. Now, lo and behold, one day I had a call from a gentleman called Shamsuddin Ahmed, who lives at number 45. And he asked me to attend a meeting with a gentleman called Steve Bateman and Tom Clinton. And going to that meeting would be a change, not only in the lives of the people of Hanover Square, but the lives of the people more or less 30 years later, where they are enjoying the fruits of the sacrifices of many others. So they wanted to basically just wash their hands of the square. They were tired of the drama that had gone to Margaret Thatcher's office. Tony Yeo was involved, Max Madden, the MP, was involved, and I was reading somewhere that there was injections of £79,000 at one point, £105,000 at a different point for feasibility studies, another £305,000 in total towards the housing project. So they just wanted to wash their hands, but they didn't know that JAVEZ Khan and a few others were determined to see this project through and do everything in their power to restore this beautiful square. And after many discussions, my question to the gentleman called Tom Clinton was, what do you want to do? And he turned that around to me and said, what is it that you want to do? And I said, I want to restore that square to its original beauty, but I haven't got a clue where to start, how to start. Remember, I was a young guy. I didn't know too much about restoration and schemes and all of these things. I just wanted to get my hands dirty and restore this square. I keep getting disturbed by lovely people. So JAVEZ Khan, if you're watching, he lives at number 16, and Tufail, if you're watching, they live at number 55. Apparently I didn't mention them before. So back in the day, I said to them, I want to help to restore this square, but we have £0, we have no one to help us. So we started by recruiting a few of the elders here in Hanover Square, talking to them initially, getting them on our side, building trust and rapport with them initially before we went and spoke to the authorities and other people. Once we'd spoken to them, we decided that as residents we would contribute £1,000 to building this central area. However, what we had in our minds was we had a little bit of foresight, and we never did that. So in order to build a relationship with the local authority, Tom Clinton, the public relations manager of the local authority, we opened a bank account in the names of Ibn Amin Lala Khudaydi Ubakhi, I think Shokat Lala Khudaydi Ubakhi, and may Allah bless them, give them the highest places in Jannah, and I think Shamsuddin and a few others as well. We collected £250 off everyone, and I trotted off to a meeting in the local authority to tell them we're going to get started. Now, when I went into the meeting, they were expecting me to say the residents are not interested and we're going to close this case now. Now, in your life, if you're watching these videos, have you ever had challenges? Or as younger people, do you have challenges now when you're not quite sure how to face them and see them head on? So imagine raising £250,000, but you're not sure how you're going to do it. And if you have the right intentions and you have belief in God and simply you work hard, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will help you to achieve those things. Now we had to put a strategy in place. So we wrote to the top 50 companies in Bradford. Very little response. Now, do you give up sometimes when you have no response? Well, do not give up. Make sure you keep working hard. No response. One day, West called me, and I was the lead name. I had the lead phone number. I had Shamsuddin and many others around us as well, too many to mention. So West called me and said, one Saturday morning, we'd like to come into Hanover Square and put the communication cables in, telephone cables in, and my question to them was, how much money will you give to us? So they gave us £150 in 1994. Then for a while we were still attempting to raise money, and we had many rejections, up until the point one day when the chairman of the National Provincial Building Society, who I was working for, happened to meet the local authority chief executive, who called me in, me being very nervous, very nervous. I went to see him, and he said, may I come and look at the square, understand its surroundings? One Saturday afternoon he came in the blazing heat, had a look at the square, made a comment on how beautiful the houses were. And the houses were very beautiful, but nothing happened for about 4 weeks, up until one day when I got a phone call to come to his office on the 4th floor of Provincial House. And his question to me was how much does one lighting column cost? I didn't have a clue, so I called Steve Bateman in the local authority, who said each lighting column costs £1,000. Mashallah, collared me whilst I was making the video. So £1,000 each lighting column. A few weeks later we get a call from Lord Shuttleworth. Off I go, all nervous and shaking and sweating, and he said, we would like to offer you £14,000 so you can have lighting in the square. It wasn't so much the £14,000 that they gave to us, it was that their name was now put against a project. National Provincial Building Society, Virgin Media as they're known now, Berry and Walker solicitors, local authority became more interested that we have something here that can potentially give us good kudos, create good awareness of our services, and one added to the other. English Partnerships came along. They said, we will give you £24,000 to put the railings up in the square. Environmental department in local authority said, we will give you some trees and grass. English Partnerships, or was it British Historic Buildings Trust, I can't remember, one of them, they gave us some money as well. And there was massive offshoots from the project. Okay, social behavior became better. Kids that had very little to do were suddenly getting involved in the Hanover Square project football teams. There was social gatherings at number 50 something or other, which I can't remember. Lots and lots of people started to get involved. Neighborhood watch scheme came into force, which I think Asad Khan, I think, took care of that. Remember the football team starting with Raf and Qasim Khan and Iyaz and Hafshai, who's just gone inside over there. I seem to remember quite a number of other people as well from the outside. I think it was Siddiq and Siddiq Khan and quite a few other people decided to get involved in the football teams. Here in Hanover Square, we had cultural exchanges. A couple of winters passed from June 1994, and in October 1996, on a cold evening, the square was finally restored with its absolute beauty and the road finally being completed. Within a few days of this happening, the property prices basically just shot up. So if you're living in Hanover Square right now, every single one of you owe me about £20,000. Okay, 2023, call it £50,000. And look, if you youngsters watching from the square, okay, look behind me now. So let's take some pride in the area. Let's do some stuff that's better. Let's make this square even better than what it is right now. And whilst you're listening to this, if you're listening to what I'm saying, if you like, okay, what you're hearing, please share it, please subscribe to the channel, please get it out, okay, all over the world. And if there's specific things that you want me to talk about on these vlogs, let me know. I'll be more than happy to share anything that I know. Talking about Asad Khan, there he is, just reversing his vehicle. And the jewel in the crown of Hanover Square, Masjid Nimra, which has changed the lives of thousands of people. It's a centre for the effort of the tabligh taking place as well. Many lives have actually changed. And currently we have some visitors from across in America who are guests in the masjid. Oh, what's your name, young man? So I've just read Maghrib, and the jewel in the crown of Hanover Square is Masjid Nimra. And I was just mentioning that a Jamaat is here from America. Now, for those people that have been out on Jamaat and for those people that have not been out on Jamaat, going out in Jamaat and spending time in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can completely change your life. So I have noticed and I have seen with my own eyes, in terms of people's behaviors and their lives changing, is the following. I keep getting disturbed by people actually. So what have I seen is that those that were involved in criminal activity gave it up after spending time in the masjid and spending time in the path of Allah. Those people that had rocky relationships, their relationships are so much better because they made a relationship with themselves and they made a relationship with their creator. Those that were perhaps involved in things that were a little bit dodgy, they gave them up because the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala started to come in their lives. They corrected their salah, they corrected their reading of the Quran. They then became more spiritual. And when you become more spiritual and you hold the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in your heart, and at the same time you live between the line of fear and hope, your life can completely change. So without me getting too deep into all of that sort of stuff, is that I want you to listen to my friends here that have a message for you right now. Okay, guys, number 1,
Share.
number 2,
Like.
number 3,
Subscribe.
number 4,
Comment.
and number 5,
Assalamu alaikum.